Hi, welcome back to class. And this week we are going to look at the topic of immigration. And so this chapter goes through the history of immigration to the United States and some of the factors that contribute to why people immigrate here. So the push-pull factors, and also some of the reactions that people have to immigration. And so that's what we're going to discuss this week in class and look at the idea of myth-making when it comes to immigrants. And so we're going to read Chapter 5 of the book, of course, and then you're going to respond to the Module 5 discussions. And I think everybody understands this now, where you log on 3 different days and you have two different responses, one to each thread each day for those 3 days. One thing I will tell you is if you go above and beyond and you do quite a bit extra on your post, you may see extra credit points. So there are some people who have, put down numerous posts in a week, close to 20 some people in your responses, and if you do that, there may be an extra credit point or two. So this week we have very light on the videos that we're watching, so the supplementary material is much lighter than normal, but that's because I want you to reflect a little bit on current events. So we're going to start off, of course, with the discussion, the responses from last week. Then there's a video on coming to America, so it's a short video, about 5 minutes, highlighting immigration and the records kept, and this is a really fascinating area for a lot of people. So most people in this country have come here through the result of immigrants. Like I said, in people who know me all know that I'm a descendant of immigrants from southern Italy. So they came from Campania. So these 2 towns outside of Naples. Both of my grandfather's families came from there. Settled in New York City, and both did what a lot of Italian Americans do, and they married people from different ethnicities. And so both of my grandmothers come from immigrant families as well. My mom's mother is a descendant of people who came from Trinidad, so in the Caribbean. So they're islanders, and they came to New York City in before 1920. And my father's mother's family were Russian Jews that came in the 1890s over. So, we discuss our family immigration story. A lot of families do. And there's a lot of resources for this, so it's a pretty interesting area to look at. But, there's also people who have always been here. My wife's family, they're from Cheyenne River Sioux tribe, so they're Lakota. And they can trace their lineage back for generations on this land. So, so when I say we have a common ancestry of immigration, that's true for most people. Of course, not with Native Americans who have always been here, and this carries across too with people from Central and South America and through Mexico. So there's a lot of indigenous groups that were freely operating on this continent before any white people set foot on the land, and anyone else from other parts of the world. So keep that in mind as you're doing this assignment, because it's a common thread that a lot of us have. So we're going to have a Dropbox assignment on myths with immigration. We have a Chapter 5 quiz, and there's a couple of videos we're going to watch. So one is with an author named Diaz who discusses being Dominican, and he's doing an interview in The Daily Show, and he discusses the numerous views that immigrants can often have. So they have different worldviews because some people have points of reference that are a little different than many of us have. So he discusses, coming from Dominican Republic and ending up in New Jersey and New York, his family in the Bronx, and how people who do that might have a different view of how things operate and how it's a good thing. There's also a short video on the rise of nativism, and this is a concept that it's a view that a lot of people feel entitled to discuss who should and shouldn't be here, and this is rooted in a lot of odd prejudice. Like I said, a lot of us have come from immigrant pasts, and then to turn around and say that you don't welcome people from other countries is kind of an odd thing when you're in a nation that is mostly settled by immigrants. So we're going to watch that, and then we're going to discuss that in the Module 6 discussion. So I'll just work my way down, like always, here. So again, we have a short video, Coming to America. There's nothing on this, but it's a good intro to the week and gives you some good information. There's a resource called 10 Myths About Immigration. This is from Teaching Tolerance. It's an organization that actually I refer to quite a bit in my classes. It's designed for school teachers who want to encourage people to be more tolerant. This is a lesson plan from Teaching Tolerance, so it's designed for teachers to read, but last year I handed it out to my race and ethnic class and had people do an assignment on this. And so you're going to look at some myths that are created about immigration, and this is being an education site. There's a lot of extra material that you can get here. So it's a really good resource. So you can see the different things, and there's tables you can link to, so you can, example, click on a table and get more information. So it always makes a discussion a little more interesting when you can do things like that. So you're going to use that article to do your Dropbox assignment. Your Dropbox assignment is going to be a one-page paper on the misconceptions people have about immigration. So in this paper, I want you to debunk some common myths and misconceptions people have about immigration. And I want you to hopefully use the reading right here on the 10 myths about immigration. But you can also use extra material for this. Then we have the Daily Show interview, so I couldn't link it to the discussion. For some reason, it doesn't embed the right way. But you have Gino Diaz discussing living in multiple worlds in a children's book that he wrote. So he's discussing the book he wrote. There's the Chapter 5 quiz, and here is our Module 6 discussion on the rise of nativism and the KKK during the 1920s. Nativism has went on a lot longer than that, so if anyone here has seen the movie Gangs in New York, they discuss that quite a bit in here, in that movie, and so it's not entirely a 1920s concept, but at the same time, hate groups started to swell with the rise of nativism, and the KKK really emerged and was pretty visible around the country. So our two questions this week. So we're going to discuss what Mr. Diaz means when he talks about other worlds immigrants live in while living in America. And again, make sure you have a substantial post. It's only a 5-minute interview, but he's a very smart man, and the interview is very dense with information, and I think you can get a lot from that. Then we're going to look at nativism. So I want you to pay attention and discuss our current trends. So this might be hard if you haven't really been following the news, but I think most people have. So I want you to look at what has changed in America with regards to nativism and what has remained consistent. And then discuss why you think nativism exists in a country that's inhabited by so many people who are themselves immigrants or descendants of immigrants. It's, again, I want you to discuss this because it's interesting. There's a lot of people who you'll hear discuss anti-immigration, and they themselves are not very far removed from their relatives who came over from somewhere else. So, well, if anyone has any questions, be sure to go ahead and get in touch with me. I do prefer emails on D2L. I do get to my school emails eventually, but there's more of a chance I'll miss them. On D2L, the great thing is everything is categorized by class. So if I miss your email, it's archived on here, and it's a little more difficult for that to happen. So please send me an email on D2L, and have a great week. Thank you.